What does Trump's victory mean for Poland, one of Ukraine's closest neighbors and allies? Joining me now is the Polish ambassador to Canada, Witold Dzielski. Hello, Ambassador. It's good to see you. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Vashi. Thank you for having me.
You have a lot of experience, actually more than most, with Donald Trump and with that previous administration. And I'm wondering what the key in your mind is to convincing Donald Trump that staying the course, or at least continuing to provide Ukraine with aid, is the right thing to do.
The most important, obvious aspect in that regard is having a relationship. It was so during the first Trump administration that not every country was able to secure such a strong relationship, and I'm sure it will be similar this time. So there is it goes without saying that right now there is a competition going on between different countries, all of the countries, to get closer to the President Trump future administration.
Is there a difference in approach that you think is necessary with President Trump, particularly where Ukraine is concerned, given what we've heard from him on that file, but also, you know, the argument put forth, let's say, by Joe Biden is like, this is the right thing to do because ultimately who's next or what's next, and Vladimir Putin has to be stopped. Mm-hmm. Is there a different argument that needs to land with President Trump in order to convince him to keep the aid going?
President Trump is he's a strong character, and he also understands strength, and I think it's obvious that it is important for him to have a sense that the United States is a strong country, influential country. But I think it would be a good angle, and he would understand this, that the United States is strong by itself, but also is strengthened by the strength of its allies. You cannot really imagine United States without Europe. Today, in terms of the economic relationship, those topics are being discussed in terms of, you know, different tariffs on different topics, but in essence, that relationship is a backbone of the transatlantic relationship. So I think this is a conversation that will be taking place between the allies, and Poland, in this regard, will be an asset for both for Europe, which we are part of, or European Union, and for United States.
And can you expand on that? Because you know, a number of months ago, for example, President Duda was here after meeting in Washington. One of the meetings he took was with President Trump. We spoke with him then. Is it your view that among European allies, Poland has one of the better relationships with Trump and the people around him?
I think there are two countries that historically and in recent history had this sort of special relationship with the United States in Europe. I mean, all the countries have a sense that they have a special relationship, but in Europe, the top two, my understanding would be is Poland and UK. In Europe, and this will probably remain. We have a number of leverage points on the United States. I mean, our record is very strong with all the previous administrations, but also with the Trump administration today. As you mentioned, President Duda, President of Poland, he is simply a friend of President Trump. They worked very closely during his first administration. Prime Minister Donald Tusk is a very strong European leader, and he was the president of the Council. So he was a de facto, symbolically president of European Union for quite a long time. So he has a lot of influence, and and Poland will have its presidency in the European Union in the first year of 2025. So we will do our best to secure the Polish interests, regional interests, European interests, so that we can continue to build the transatlantic relationship better.
And I want to ask about those interests, especially vis-a-vis Ukraine in particular. So when Donald Trump says, for example, that he's going to end the war, speculation arises, and I think understandably so, that would involve some ceding of territory by Ukraine to Russia. What is Poland's position on that?
Poland's position, well, there are a couple of points. One obviously is the very strong criticism of illegal Russian invasion on Ukraine. Second point would be that, and our politicians are very vivid, the Ukrainians need to be at the table, whatever is happening, and their voice should be considered, respected, listened to. And frankly speaking, Poland will, in most cases, support the Ukrainian voice in terms of any prospects for any conversation of peace.
I mean, Ukraine has been pretty explicit that they don't want to cede any territory, that they don't see that as feasible in the idea that that's going to end the war. Am I to interpret then that Poland would be supportive of that position?
We are supportive of that position, and we are supportive of. Again, it is for Ukrainians to decide what are the terms of the peaceful resolution of the situation.
In the span of time that this war has been going on, and prior to it as well, Poland has become one of the biggest spenders on defense as a portion of GDP. You've risen, right to the top, essentially near the top of the NATO alliance. This is something that Donald Trump has been very explicit about. We've had his former ambassador on the program a few times over the last week. She has been very, very explicit about the expectation going forward that Donald Trump will have, particularly where Canada is concerned. What do you think, and we mentioned that clip that the former president talked about what would happen to NATO allies who didn't pay up. What is your interpretation of the pressure on allies going forward? Like, does this, I know it already exists, right? I understand that everyone signed an agreement. But is there something fundamental that's changing here, do you think, moving forward? And what might happen to those allies, for example, like Canada, who are not yet meeting that objective?
On the level of European Union, Poland, not only on the level of European Union, but in EU, Poland was very vocal, very strong about the necessity to beef up the spending. And in that sense, President Trump and his administration will continuously have a partner in Poland. This is our position as well. As you mentioned, next year we will be getting to nearly 5% of GDP spending for defense. So that's huge. And this is also I would say, an argument which gives leverage to Poland in conversations with the United States. Also, well, the Polish presidency EU is coming, but also our region, including Poland, will have a certain influence on the European Union structures. The Polish, we just have confirmed the Polish commissioner, Piotr Serafin, who will be responsible for budget in the European Union, and the former Prime Minister of Lithuania, is going to be the commissioner responsible for defense and in particular industry and those topics. So this is a combination. And Lithuania, the position of Lithuania on Ukraine and on the eastern flank of NATO is very similar to Polish. So in the conversation on defense spending, Poland and the region will continuously be a very good, strong partner for United States.
What do you think, though, happens to the partners that are not spending what the targets are? And again, obviously I'm asking because Canada is not yet at that point. And do you think that ultimately the alliance in and of itself is at risk?
If Canada is a great friend of Poland. If Canada ever needs help from Poland in conversation with the United States, we'll be happy to support.
Okay, I will leave it on that note. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time very much.